Hey, I'm Naomi Lindh, and I am a licensed real estate salesperson with Realty Collective. We are a woman-led boutique firm in Red Hook in Brooklyn, and this video is to help demystify the rental process for renters in New York City. And I hope make a famously stressful process a little less stressful and easier to manage. If you have any questions, please reach out at naomi@realtycollective.com or on Instagram at naomi.lind. Thank you so much for watching. Realty Collective serves Brooklyn almost exclusively. We handle residential and commercial sales and rentals, working with buyers, sellers, renters, and landlords. And we do it all with a strong moral compass. My door is always open for questions about real estate. You don't have to be a client or know that you're renting, buying, or selling right now. I just want to help as many people as possible. This video series is for anyone looking to rent in Brooklyn, whether you're a seasoned New Yorker that has rented several apartments on your own, or the newbie relocating for work. There is a lot of stress surrounding apartment hunting in NYC, but I want you to take this opportunity to focus on the things you can control to make this as streamlined a process as possible, and hopefully ease the stress a bit. Getting started. Typically, you want to decide that you want to move 60 days before your lease expires. In NYC, we have a 30-day notice period, but you typically want to be able to hit the ground running at 30 days. The first thing you should consider is budget. What can you realistically afford per month? Typically, landlords require that you earn 40 times the monthly rent with a credit score of 700 or higher, so let that be your cap unless you would like to use a guarantor. You want to understand why you are moving. Maybe you don't like your neighborhood or your pipes bang, you want outdoor space, and you want to adopt a dog. You have your reasons, and knowing those reasons can help you decide on where you'd rather be. If you've lived in a city for a while and you're wondering whether a move is actually worth it, we have a worksheet we can share with you too. So, now that you understand your motivation, make your list of top 5 things you want in a new space. Some examples are natural light, high ceilings, hardwood floors, laundry and building, 1 block to the subway, etc. Then make your list of deal breakers. Some examples: no basement apartments, no walks to the subway over 10 minutes, no food deserts, no 5th floor walk-ups, etc. Start with 5 neighborhoods for your budget and then check your wants list and see if they align. If they do, great. If not, it may be time to adjust your neighborhood list. Listen, everyone and their mom wants to live in Park Slope. If your budget is limited and the idea of a rental bidding war makes your head spin, maybe consider nearby Greenwood Heights or Kensington. Priced out of Prospect Heights? Crown Heights is right next door with just as much to offer. The best way to narrow it down? Hang out in your potential new neighborhood. Grab a coffee and wander. Walk around at night alone. Test out the commute to and from work. What's the train ride like? Or have brunch. Find friends that already live there and grill them over your eggs Benny. Other things to consider are neighborhood characteristics. Do you want the feel of brownstone Brooklyn? Then North Brooklyn probably isn't right for you. Looking for a brand new building? Carroll Gardens won't yield many new devs, but Gowanus is right up the street. Some characteristics to keep in mind are building typology. Do you want to be in brownstone Brooklyn or lofted apartments more your style? Amenities. Do you want to be near cafes, bars, restaurants, and grocery stores? Transportation. Are there certain train lines that are more convenient for you? New versus old construction. New construction buildings will likely have amenities such as elevators, laundry and building, dishwashers, etc. Older construction tends to offer more space and charm, but these buildings are unlikely to have amenities like an elevator. Once you've honed in on your hood, it's time to buckle down and get prepared to search in earnest. The standard paperwork you will need to compile is as follows: driver's license, passport, or another form of government-issued photo ID, last year's tax returns or 1099, 3 recent and consecutive pay stubs. If self-employed, invoices and proof of commission suffice as well. 3 months of bank statements. This includes checking, savings, and investment accounts if you have all 3. A letter of employment from HR verifying income and length of employment, or a CPA letter confirming the same information if self-employed. If you are just starting a new job, an offer letter will also suffice. Request your employment verification letter before you start looking. Listing agents and owners will take your application more seriously if it is complete and organized. In addition to the standard documents, there are items I always recommend to include to make your application even stronger. These items include landlord reference letter, not always required, but great to have, especially if you have pets. These can take several days depending on the owner or management company, so ask before you begin looking. Personal intro letter. Great to have for smaller landlords. Who are you and what do you do for a living? Why are you moving? Add a compliment about the apartment. Mention your lifestyle and how you are as a tenant, and address pets. The last thing I recommend, if you have pets, is a pet resume. Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Have a dog or two, create a pet resume complete with pictures, training info, and vaccination status. Cats? A photo will suffice unless you want to go the extra mile and make a resume as well. These items may sound unnecessary, but they have been the deal maker for many of my clients. My last piece of advice is to manage your expectations before you start searching. Do your research and put your criteria into StreetEasy. Are there apartments available with your criteria on the first of the month? What's on the market in that neighborhood will be representative of what will likely be available to you when you start searching. One last thing to consider before you start your search. Decide if you need a broker. The people who typically need to work with a rental agent are 1. People relocating from out of town or just arrived. 2. If you don't have time to do the legwork yourself. And legwork equals calling, emailing, and scheduling appointments, paperwork and email communication to submit your application, attending showings across town during the workday, etc. The next are personal circumstances. Maybe you went through a breakup or are going through another life crisis. Work, you do already have a job. Your situation has challenges, examples, bad credit, oversized dog, building criteria that can't be sussed out online, and you need someone to help tell your story for you. So, what exactly does it mean to work with a renter's agent? Isn't the renter's agent the person listed on the StreetEasy listing? Nope. In rentals, there are 2 types of agents, listing agents and renter's agents. Much like a seller's agent and buyer's agent, each represents a side of the deal. The listing agent represents the landlord. The renter's agent represents, you guessed it, the renter. In an ideal world, the landlord would pay the listing agent a broker fee to rent the apartment, but that is often not the case in New York. Many renters tour apartments on their own without an agent to broker the deal for them, and if they are approved, they often have to pay a fee anywhere between 1 month's rent to 15% of the annual rent to the listing agent. It's important to note that the listing agent does not work for the renter. The landlord is their client and the person they owe their fiduciary duty to. And yet, the renter is the one paying for those services. If you work with a renter's agent on that deal instead, half of that 15% fee is paid to your agent for their services, and the listing agent receives the other half. The most common misconception is that you will have to pay more than 15% at lease signing if you work with the renter's agent, and I'm happy to say that is not the case. So, what does a renter's agent actually do? A renter's agent guides you through the rental process and provides market insight to better enhance your search. Sources listings for you through their internal database, StreetEasy, and industry contacts for off-market listings. Handles the administrative aspects of apartment hunting, being the point of contact with listing agents, scheduling appointments, compiling the application into one organized package, and submitting the application. Assists with lease negotiations. This is often minimal depending on what lease is being used, but can sometimes be extensive depending on the number of riders that need to be added. So if you decide you need a broker, most of the rest of this does not apply to you, but here it is for the rest of you savvy New Yorkers going DIY. Here are tips for renters that are looking to be their own agent in the rental process. Number 1, utilize as many databases as you can. Make a social post and let your network know. This can be on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Try to do this about 60 days out. Set up a saved search on StreetEasy and Zillow so you receive notifications when listings come on the market. Post and search in housing Facebook groups like Gypsy Housing and neighborhood-specific groups. Sign up for the Listings Project. Post on sites like Nextdoor. Look at online platforms beyond StreetEasy and Zillow. Craigslist is still a thing. This is what you should be prepared to do when you start looking in earnest. When you tour an apartment, get there first with everyone that is part of the decision-making process. Get some FaceTime with the listing agent when you can, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Have your paperwork ready to go and include a cover letter. Start looking seriously, not just on the internet, 45 days out if you know where you want to live, and or you have non-negotiable must-haves like outdoor space or laundry and unit. Make sure you don't put a lot of obligations and commitments in your schedule during the 2 weeks you need to be looking at apartments aggressively. Many listing agents are not going to cater showings to your schedule if they have a lot of interest. Be decisive and don't wait to submit an application for an apartment that you love. Many people are uncomfortable negotiating the rent on a new apartment. In the US, with few exceptions, such as buying a car or a home, we are accustomed to paying the price that is listed without question. For most people, your rent will be your largest expense in the coming year. And if you can save money with a little negotiation, why not? While it is true that not all landlords will negotiate, you might be surprised at how many will. This applies both to new leases as well as lease renewals. First things first, know the market. We in the industry call them comps, so that aligning expectations process we discussed earlier is coming in handy here. If the apartment has been on the market for a long time, you'll have a much easier time negotiating the price than something just listed. And when it comes to showing etiquette for new listings, don't let the first question you ask be if the price is negotiable. It's not a great look. 2, make your offer a win-win situation. The key to any successful negotiation is ensuring that both parties are getting something from the deal. For example, landlords would much rather sign a qualified tenant to a 2-year lease than a 1-year lease. 3, which landlords are most likely to agree? This is especially true in the case of small property owners because while larger building managers and landlords tend to focus almost exclusively on credit scores and the like, the smaller owners are also often interested if you're the right fit for the building and may be willing to lower the rent a bit to get a good neighbor. Many small owners live right in the building. In other cases, the smaller owners are not professional landlords, as in they have a separate career or are retired and own a building or two as an investment. In those cases, they may be handling everything themselves on top of their full-time jobs and will be looking for tenants who not only can pay the rent, but will cause them the least amount of hassles. 4, when should I make an offer? If you are offering a higher rent or other incentives to the landlord, you want to offer that with your application. If there are multiple applications, it might be wise to wait until you're approved if you are asking for concessions. If you are approved then at that point, the landlord wants you in the apartment, and if they are amenable to an offer, they may accept it just to close the deal. However, keep in mind that because they have multiple applications, there's a chance another similarly qualified applicant is waiting to take your place. Use your judgment, and if you really want the apartment and the landlord is giving you a lot of pushback, you're probably better off ending the negotiation and taking the apartment as offered. Common mistakes to avoid. Steer clear of the bait and switch and Craigslist scams. If you see a listing listed significantly lower on another site, such as Craigslist, or anyone asks you for funds, make sure you do some Googling before you proceed and make sure the person and listing are reputable. Look up the building online if you suspect there may be issues. Violations are public record and easy to access. Open Igloo is a great resource for this. Read the lease thoroughly and look for anything that your landlord may have added that's not standard. Inspect the home. Ask for a move-in checklist and move-out checklist with photos to make sure nothing pre-existing isn't added to your list of repairs when you move out. Honesty is the best policy with your broker. Be sure to be completely honest with your broker about your expectations and your lifestyle so they can find you the best fit. Get renter's insurance. I repeat, get renter's insurance. Put anything financial in writing. It's just good practice and it will keep everyone's memory clear. Exit strategy. Know when it's time to break up with your rental. Consider costs and future buying timetable. The move. Check in with your building to find out about any moving restrictions. This can be the time you can move, the day you can move, and if you need to use a specific entrance or elevator. Know the cost of the move in advance. Decide if you're packing yourself or hiring movers. Know what to do if your lease ends on the 31st and your new one starts on the 1st. To wrap up this video, here are some frequently asked questions. When to use a guarantor? There are a variety of scenarios in which renters will need to use a guarantor. The most common being if a renter earns less than 40 times the monthly rent, or if their credit score is below 700. They will need to use a guarantor. Renters who typically need a guarantor are renters who do not earn 40 times the monthly rent, renters who have a credit score below 700, renters from foreign countries that move to New York for work or school and have yet to open a line of credit in the United States, full or part-time students. Uncommon scenarios. Renters who earn 40 times the monthly rent but do not have a consistent stream of income. Renters who earn 40 times the monthly rent but have low reserves in their bank accounts. Renters who have recently started a new job. Keep in mind that a guarantor must be based in the United States and needs to earn 80 times the monthly rent and/or have significant reserves if retired, and their credit score must be 700 or higher. The application documents are the same for guarantors, and they will also need to undergo a credit check. If a renter does not have anyone to be their guarantor, there are third-party guarantor services such as Insurant, The Guarantors, and Rhino that serve as guarantors for an additional fee. These are a great alternative when in a pinch. Not all landlords will accept third-party guarantor services, but many do. Can I apply to more than one apartment at a time? Yes. Just make sure you are reusing your credit report for multiple applications. It should only be run once every 30 days. Save your money and your good credit score. I encourage multiple apps when the market is tight and you are looking in competitive neighborhoods. Also, if you are getting down to the wire to find a place, then it's a good idea to keep your options as open as possible. Other agents may balk at this, but as someone who works with renters, it is better to have multiple acceptances and send the awkward decline offer email than to have no apartment to move into at all. I'm well qualified and my apps keep getting passed over. What gives? If you keep finding yourself in multiple app situations without a favorable outcome and have done everything right, your app is complete, well organized, you've gone the extra mile and included a thoughtful cover letter, you earn over 40 times the monthly rent, have ample reserves in the bank and excellent credit, heck, you even offered a higher rent and yet still no apartment. Join the club, my friend. Sometimes everyone applying is qualified, looks great on paper, and will be just as great a tenant as you will be. It comes down to splitting hairs in these situations. It can be as simple as one applicant had a higher credit score or another had more liquid cash reserves in their accounts, and that was how the owner made their decision. It's not personal, though it can feel like it. So many of my clients have found themselves in this position, but it always works out in the end. Your apartment is out there. It just may not happen with the first application, and that is completely normal. Trust that you have taken all the right steps. Have patience. If it's meant to be, what is for you will not miss you. Possible reasons you are not approved. It's a competitive market in New York, and other applicants are just as qualified. Landlords are splitting hairs between apps. They may simply go with the applicant with the most cash in the bank. The landlord preferred someone without a pet. The other applicant had a cover letter that swayed them, and you didn't. The other applicant made a stronger impression on the listing agent by chatting with them at the open house, and they recommended them to the landlord. What makes a successful renter? Personally, I think presentation goes a long way. Be organized, label all of your documents, and keep them in a folder on your desktop. Have a PDF packet with all of your documents, including a cover page that includes your intro letter to the landlord and an application order. Have a cover letter, especially if you are looking in Brooklyn. Larger management companies are primarily only looking at your financial qualifications, but smaller, independent owners are looking at the full picture, and your income qualifications are only one piece of the puzzle. They also want kind, respectful tenants that they can trust. Be proactive. If working on your own, contact listing agents as soon as a listing is posted and follow up with them if you don't hear back by end of day. You can also find their email and sell online, so you can contact them directly in addition to StreetEasy. If working with a broker, respond to their scheduling emails promptly so you don't miss out on appointments. They can go quickly. Be kind at showings. Agents are people too, and if you're rude, we remember. Look at the listing before you go so you are informed and can have questions prepared if needed. Also, so you won't be surprised by the broker fee if there is one. Be the first application in. Apply by end of business day at the absolute latest. Have an email drafted ahead of time or keep your docs in the cloud so you can upload documents through your phone right after the showing. Being the first app in doesn't necessarily mean you'll be approved, but it does demonstrate your commitment. If you can't make an open house, ask a trusted friend or family member to attend on your behalf and take a video tour. The rental process can be stressful and overwhelming in NYC, and that is why we believe helping people prepare for the process will diminish the stress and make for a smoother search process and transaction. I hope this video has helped prepare you for the process and given you information in a concise way for you to start your search. If you're feeling like you need the help of a broker to support you, please reach out to me to start the process. Happy hunting! Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.